Putting on leg bands today. This is the clutch of Dove and Fabian, and I have assigned the color red. It's a custom band, helpful for me to differentiate between the clutches I have concurrently. And on the other foot, I'm using the club band, which is black, indicating that it's the color of 2025. So there's no national or international standard for what you can put on a band. Most hobby breeders use their own custom bands. So you can put just about any information to your liking on them. And there's no national registry, so it really doesn't matter what you include. But if you're acquiring bands from a club, such as the BAA, they adhere to an international standard for the year of hatch. So the judges can look at the bird's leg band and say, oh, this bird is from this year, or if it's red, it hatched last year. And it's also a way to generate funding for the clubs we associate with. My custom bands come in different colors, so I can assign each color to a different clutch, so I don't have to go back and read the leg band to know which bird is which. And my custom band has my aviary's initials RBP and a 5-digit zip code and 2 letters TX, denoting they hatched in Texas, whereas the standard club bands have the letters BAA, denoting the name Budgerigar Association of America Club, then the breeder's initials, which are RA for me, then two-digit numbers like 25, indicating 2025, the year of hatch, and a unique number assigned to the chick specifically, like 1, 2, 3, as in the first chick of the year, second chick of the year, and so on. So most breeders use just one leg band, but I like to use two, so I can use the club band and my own custom band to make my life a little easier. And I like to use the closed bands that are completely round and sealed off. Those are safe to have on. There are other kinds that you can purchase, like the split bands that are connected later on, and those are not safe. Now, do you have to use leg bands in the US? Not really, no. It depends on what state you are. Like places such as New York, if I'm not mistaken, the birds that are bred should have leg bands on to avoid any issues with the government, but we don't have any rules like that here in Texas. And a lot of breeders don't acquire leg bands because it'll cost money to do so, and it really doesn't benefit them to do it one way or another. I can tell all my birds apart, so I really don't need to give them an identifier, but if I am showing them in a contest, and to register them they have to each have their own a unique ID, for which purpose I do like to include a band for that purpose. And my custom bands just really help me differentiate the clutches from one another when they're fully grown. It's just a quick way of organizing. That's really it. And it doesn't hurt to put them on. It doesn't hurt for them, to keep it on for life. Their feet will actually grow into the band, so it's not something you can take on and off when they're fully grown. They have to go on before they're 10 to 11 days of age, usually. There is a time limit between 6 days to 12 days of age at the latest, maybe 14 if the chick is small, for you to put the leg bands on. If you wait too long, that bird cannot be safely banded with a closed ring. If you have not banded one by then you probably cannot enter it in a bird show. Now, there is a mass hysteria online regarding leg bands because accidents do happen, but accidents can happen anyway with anything when it comes to exotic animals. In my many years of having birds, I've never had an issue with leg bands causing physical harm to my birds, but it does happen to people, and generally the split bands are the culprit. The closed bands very, very rarely will get stuck on rope toys or other cordages or any other metal hooks, but I don't use toys like that anyway because they can pretty much strangulate your bird at the neck, so you don't need a leg band for that to happen. I consider them safe if they're put on correctly, but if you don't like that your bird has a band, you can obviously get an avian veterinarian to snip them off. Do not try to do that at home because you can easily break their leg. But if it's really not bothering your bird, just leave it on. And the unique identifier on the leg band is your only proof of purchase or ownership. Say if you have a bird that has gotten loose and someone has found it, how can you prove that this bird is yours? Well, you cannot microchip these small birds yet, so the only evidence you have is, hey, I know my bird's band code. This is the band code. And if it matches to the bird the finder has on the bird, then I'm like, yeah, well, yeah, that matches the ID. So yeah, this bird is yours. But they can't like go online and look up a specific band code and link it back to your bird because we don't have a national database. So hey, it's something, right? And the unique identifier on the leg band is your only proof of purchase or ownership. The last thing, it's really important to use the correct band size. You cannot use one that's too wide because then it'll fall off or cause injuries, or you cannot use bands that are too small because then it will constrict the foot as the bird grows into it. And even like bigger birds, sometimes they get really big, and if the size is too small, it can actually constrict the foot entirely and they can lose the foot. So very important to get the right sized band, and the correct size will depend on the species of bird you're breeding. So always double, triple check with all the breeders out there and resources on the internet. Double check with two different sources to make sure that you've got the right sized band. And Miss Lavender is now showing us what she looks like with the bands on when she's fully grown. The red band was from last year of 2024, and the black was the color I assigned to their clutch. Hi, Lily.